You've seen rain before, but what if it wasn't water? What if it was ash? And what if that ash was deadly to all women? What would happen then? Let's find out. The story begins with our main character, Eva, who lives in a high-rise apartment with her best friend Carolyn. They share a close bond, take care of each other, and enjoy their lives together. Eva's boyfriend Will often visits to look after her. One morning, Eva wakes up and hears a noise coming from the kitchen. Thinking it's Carolyn, she goes to check, but instead she finds Will cooking a meal as a surprise for her. He asks her to sit at the dining table and close her eyes. Excited about the surprise, Eva eagerly follows his instructions. When she opens her eyes, she sees two small toys in front of her, ones that remind her of the first time she and Will met. She is deeply touched and overjoyed by the thoughtful gesture. Suddenly, a loud thunderclap echoes in the sky. Eva and Will are startled and rush to the window. They are confused because it's not the rainy season, yet something unusual is happening. As they look outside, they see thick clouds of ash falling like snow, covering everything in sight. Shocked, they stare in disbelief, trying to understand what is going on. Then Eva remembers something. Just a few days ago, she had heard a news report about a star passing close to Earth, which could cause unusual natural changes. Still, she and Will continue watching the strange ash fall, finding it both mesmerizing and mysterious. Just then, Carolyn enters the apartment from outside. Eva quickly turns to her and says, "Did you see? It's raining ash." But instead of responding with excitement, Carolyn looks weak and stumbles forward before collapsing onto the floor, unconscious. Panic sets in. Eva and Will rush to her side, trying to wake her up, but she doesn't respond. Terrified, they immediately take her to the hospital. As they wait anxiously for the doctors, more and more patients start arriving. Pregnant women, children, healthy young women, and elderly ladies. Some have blood dripping from their ears, others from their noses, and all of them seem to be suffering from severe symptoms. It doesn't take long for the doctors to realize something alarming. All the affected patients are women. Whatever is in the ash is only harming females. Will quickly grabs Eva's hand. "We need to leave. Now," he says urgently. Eva hesitates, worried about Carolyn. "I can't leave without knowing what happened to her," she insists. Will shakes his head. "This ash is dangerous. It's carrying some kind of virus that only affects women. We can't stay here. It's not safe." He doesn't wait for an argument. He pulls Eva away, determined to get her out before it's too late. Since the hospital is overwhelmed with patients, no one is paying attention to them. Will and Eva sneak into an empty office where they find full-body protective suits worn by doctors. They quickly put them on, covering themselves completely to avoid exposure to the ash. Once they are safely back home, they carefully remove the suits and immediately take long showers, scrubbing away any traces of ash. But they know that's not enough to keep them safe. Determined to protect themselves, they start sealing off the entire apartment. They cover windows, doors, and air vents with thick plastic sheets, making sure not even a single particle of ash can get inside. The next morning, Eva wakes up to the smell of food. She sees Will in the kitchen, cooking for her. Smiling, he says, "I made breakfast for you. I woke up early to buy fresh vegetables, but the ash is still falling outside. You need to stay inside until it stops." As Eva sits down, her phone rings. When she picks it up, she notices Will has wrapped it in plastic to keep it safe from contamination. She answers the call. It's from the hospital. Her heart sinks as she listens. They tell her that Carolyn has passed away. Eva is completely shocked. Fear and panic take over, and she starts feeling anxious. Will quickly comforts her. To stay safe, they both put on protective masks and full-body clothing, making sure not to expose themselves to the deadly ash. A little while later, Eva gets a video call from her parents. Seeing them safe gives her some relief. They warn her not to go outside no matter what. While they talk, a news report plays on TV. The latest update confirms a terrifying truth. The virus only affects women, but men can carry and spread it. Authorities urge all women to be extremely careful. Days pass. 50 days go by. The ash keeps falling, with no end in sight. No vaccine has been developed yet, and the number of women in the world is getting dangerously low. In response, the government makes a drastic decision. To save humanity, they announce a plan to use artificial reproduction technology. The goal is to make the remaining women give birth to multiple children at once to rebuild the population. They urge all surviving women to take part in this program, saying the future of the world is in their hands. Hearing this, Will becomes extremely worried. He knows that if the authorities find Eva, they will take her away under the excuse of helping humanity. He refuses to let that happen. Determined to protect her, Will secretly builds a hidden space under their bed, a place where Eva can hide if anyone comes looking for her. Days turn into weeks. Stuck inside the apartment, Eva starts to feel trapped. She is bored, restless, and desperate for a change. Eva stands near the window, watching the world outside. But as always, Will warns her, "Don't go near the window. Don't touch that. Don't go here. Don't go there." He keeps reminding her over and over, trying to keep her safe. One day, while Will is out shopping, Eva takes out her laptop and starts browsing online. She comes across an invitation to a private group, a secret network formed by the remaining women across the world. Curious, she joins without telling Will, knowing he would disapprove. As she reads their messages, she learns that riots have broken out in the city where her father lives, and the police are causing chaos. Worried, she searches for her phone to call him, but it's missing. Frustrated, she asks Will where it is. He firmly tells her, "You can't use the phone. They can trace your voice and find you. It's too dangerous. You need to stay quiet for now." Months pass, and Eva starts feeling depressed from being trapped in one place for so long. One day, the news reports something terrifying. The government lab where all the captured women were being held has been destroyed in a bombing. Hearing this, both Eva and Will become even more anxious. The government has now intensified its search for surviving women, determined to take them away. At the same time, with so few women left in the world, dangerous gangs have also started hunting for them. This chaos continues for a year. To protect them, Will buys a gun and also brings home a medical kit designed to check if someone has been infected by the virus. One evening, Eva stands by the window as usual, lost in thought. When Will returns home, she quickly puts on her protective suit, as she always does. After Will takes a shower, they sit down for dinner. But because he has been outside, there is always a risk that he might have come in contact with the virus. To be sure, he uses the medical kit to test himself. He takes a small stick, applies his blood to it, and dips it in a solution. If the solution stays normal, he is safe. But if it turns blue, it means he is infected. They both watch nervously as the solution changes color. It turns blue. Will looks at Eva with sadness in his eyes. "From now on, you need to stay away from me," he tells her. "Don't touch me too much, and don't talk to me too much either." Hearing this, Eva's heart sinks. She already felt lonely, but now she feels even more isolated. One day, Eva stands by the window, staring outside. Everything is covered in thick layers of ash, making it impossible to see anything clearly. A deep sadness fills her as she realizes how lifeless the world has become. After many days of silence, she suddenly receives a message from the online women's group. Curious, she quickly checks it. A woman from the group starts chatting with her. She says, "Yesterday, they took one of our members away by force, and today I came online just to say goodbye." Eva's heart pounds. Panic sets in as she quickly types back, "Why? What's happening to you?" The woman replies, "My nose started bleeding today. That means I don't have much time left. I will die soon." Then, without revealing her real name, the woman shares a photo of herself. After that, she exits the group forever. Eva stares at the screen, feeling numb. She prints the photo and walks to a room where she has already placed pictures of other women from the group, women who had also fallen victim to the virus. She sticks the new photo on the wall alongside the others. In this group, no one ever shared their real identity because doing so could get them caught. But those who got infected, knowing they had no future, shared their last photo before disappearing forever. The woman who had just spoken to Eva was the last active member of the group. Now she was gone too. A deep loneliness settles over Eva. She feels as if she is the only woman left. As the months continue to pass, her sadness only grows. Without her online group or phone, Eva falls into deep depression. For 400 days, she lives in silence, feeling completely isolated. Then one day, her phone suddenly rings. It's a call from her father. Will picks it up and sees that he has called many times. Realizing it might be an emergency, he hesitates. If he calls back, there's a risk of being tracked. Eva pleads with him, desperate to hear her father's voice. Seeing her distress, Will finally gives in and makes a video call. When her father answers, he refuses to turn on his camera and doesn't respond directly to Eva. But when the screen flickers, she catches a glimpse of his face. It's covered in wounds. His voice trembles as he says, "I can't see you. I don't even know if you're alive, but please stay safe. I just wish I could see you today." Then he takes a deep breath and continues, "Some men came. They had guns. They beat me and took your mother. I fought as hard as I could, but I couldn't save her. I don't know where they took her." Hearing this, Eva is frozen in shock. Overwhelmed with emotion, she breaks down, unable to stay silent any longer. Terrified, Will quickly disconnects the call. Eva, overwhelmed with panic, grabs at him, pleading for the phone. She's desperate to talk to her father, but Will stays firm. "This isn't a secure line," he warns. "If they hear your voice, they'll find us in 15 minutes. What happened to your mother will happen to you too, no matter how upset you are. I won't let that happen." Eva's anger explodes. "Who are you to stop me from talking to my father?" she shouts, furious. She lashes out, blaming him for keeping her trapped. Will stays calm, his voice steady. "I'm not controlling you. I'm trying to protect you." But Ava breaks down, tears streaming down her face. "This is a prison. I've been locked inside for a year. I don't want to live like this anymore. I want to go outside, feel the sunlight, breathe fresh air." Seeing her distress, Will realizes staying inside will only make things worse. "I'll go out for a while," he says, hoping space will calm her down. He puts on his protective suit and steps outside. But the air is thick with falling ash. Realizing it's too dangerous, he quickly turns back. But when he re-enters the apartment, Eva's gone. Panicked, he searches everywhere until he finally spots her, standing on the rooftop, wearing her protective suit. For the first time in a year, Eva gazes at the world outside, soaking in the view. Then she reaches for her mask. Will sprints toward her, yelling for her to stop. But before he can reach her, she removes the mask. She closes her eyes, feeling the air on her skin. Will freezes, his heart sinking. It's too late. He watches helplessly, tears filling his eyes as everything he tried to prevent comes crashing down. Eva turns to look at Will and realizes the huge mistake she has made. Everything he did to protect her has been for nothing. A deep sense of regret washes over her. Silently, they return home. Will, believing Eva is now infected, sits on the sofa, devastated, tears rolling down his face. Meanwhile, Eva removes her protective suit and heads to the bathroom. As she showers, she notices something strange. The water running off her body is mixed with paint. After her bath, she sits on the sofa, determined to know the truth. She takes out the medical kit, spits on a test stick, and places it in the solution. Then suddenly, sirens blare outside. Before the police can arrive, Eva quickly hides in the secret room under the bed. Within moments, policemen burst into the apartment, searching every corner. They interrogate Will, who remains tense but calm. One officer checks the documents and says, "This apartment is registered under 2 women. What are you doing here?" Will replies smoothly, "It belongs to my girlfriend. She went to her father's house. The other girl was her friend. She died from the virus." Suspicious, the officers ask, "Then why is the entire house covered in plastic sheets?" Will thinks fast. "If she ever comes back, she'll need a safe space. I did this to protect her." One of the officers points at the photos on the wall. "Who are these women?" Will hesitates but keeps his voice steady. "They were all people my girlfriend knew, but none of them are alive anymore." Just as the police seem satisfied, one officer steps closer to Will and lowers his voice. "Spend the rest of your time happily with her. We don't take those who are already infected." Confused, Will follows the officer's gaze to the medical kit. His heart drops. The test solution has turned blue. Eva is infected. A lump forms in Will's throat. She doesn't have much time left. Realizing this, he makes a decision. Instead of letting her last days be filled with fear and sadness, he will give her something beautiful. He decides to take Eva to the one place she has been dreaming of for months, the waterfall in the city. Will and Eva pack everything they need for the journey. To avoid suspicion, Eva disguises herself as a boy, wearing a scarf over her head and dressing in men's clothes. While packing, she carefully selects a few meaningful items, including her camera, wanting to capture these final moments. They get into the car and begin their journey. As they drive through the city, they see how much it has changed. It looks like a giant crematorium, filled with death and destruction. Suddenly, a police announcement echoes through the streets. "No one should be outside today. All women must immediately report to the nearest safe zone." Hearing this, Will stops the car near a shopping complex. He turns to Eva and warns, "If anyone asks you anything, don't say a word." While Will steps inside, Eva stays in the car. She looks at herself in the mirror, adjusting her disguise, and takes a picture of herself in her male form. After a moment, she decides to step out and follow Will into the shop. As they browse, a man inside stares at Eva suspiciously. She absent-mindedly picks up an item meant for women, and the man slowly approaches from behind. Before she can react, he yanks off her cap. Her identity is exposed. The man's eyes widen in shock, but before he can do anything, Will immediately rushes over, pulls out his gun, and forces the man to the ground. He gives him some money and demands, "Is anyone else here?" The man, still trembling, says, "I own this place. There's no one else." Still on high alert, Will and Eva quickly leave, but the man watches them go, stunned that a woman has survived so long without being caught. As night falls, they realize it's too dangerous to keep driving. They decide to stay in a hotel for the night. Will pulls the car up near a small hotel and gets out to book a room, while Eva waits inside. Then, someone knocks on the window. Eva turns to see a eunuch standing there, mistaking her for a man. The stranger starts talking to her, making Eva nervous. She reaches for the gun, trying to be discreet. Noticing her movement, the eunuch immediately senses something is wrong and leaves. A moment later, Eva sees a father and his young son walking nearby. Wanting to blend in, She walks over to them and starts making small talk, trying to seem natural. Just then, Will returns. Without wasting time, he takes Eva to the hotel room where they settle in for the night, finally able to rest, at least for now. While taking a bath, Eva notices ash collected near the wash basin. Without fear, she touches it and smears it on her face. Looking at herself in the mirror, she suddenly laughs, realizing she had lived like a prisoner for so long, but now she finally feels free. Eva and Will get ready and go to a nearby restaurant for breakfast. A waiter watches them suspiciously, but after taking their order, he leaves. Eva pulls out a map and lays it on the table, showing Will the route to the waterfall. As they eat, the news plays on the TV. Anyone who turns in a surviving woman to the government will receive a $2 million reward. It also mentions ongoing research on artificial reproduction. While watching, Will suddenly notices blood dripping from Eva's ears. They can't stay here any longer. They quickly leave, but in their rush, they forget the map on the table. Soon after, Arthur and his son Casey enter the restaurant. They notice Will and Eva leaving in a hurry, then spot the abandoned map. Meanwhile, Eva and Will drive toward a dense forest. Eva's condition worsens, and Will tries to comfort her, but it doesn't help. Frustrated and exhausted, Eva suddenly demands he stop the car. She gets out, runs behind a tree, and breaks down in tears. After a while, she gathers herself, wipes her tears, and returns to the car. Taking control, she starts driving. Finally, they reach the entrance to the waterfall. Stopping the car, they grab their belongings and walk into the dark forest. After some distance, they set up a tent and spend the night under the stars. The next morning, Eva and Will pack up their tent and continue their journey. After walking for a while, they come across a river. They sit by the water, enjoying the peaceful moment and talking happily, forgetting their worries for a while. Wanting to lighten the mood, Will hands Eva his gun and challenges her to hit a target. They take turns shooting and laughing, embracing the small joy of the game. Meanwhile, Arthur and Casey use the map left behind at the hotel to track their location. Following the trail, they spot Will's car parked at the edge of the forest. Before continuing, Casey punctures the car's tires to prevent any escape. Armed with a sniper rifle equipped with an air-tac scope, they move deeper into the woods, carefully tracking Will and Eva. As darkness settles, Eva and Will rest in their tent. In the middle of the night, Eva wakes up feeling thirsty. Not wanting to disturb Will, she decides to go to the river alone. A short while later, Will wakes up and notices Eva is gone. Alarmed, he rushes out of the tent. Waiting for him in the darkness, Arthur and Casey, guns in hand. Arthur steps forward. "Where's the girl?" he demands. Just then, Eva returns, carrying water. Hearing Will shouting for her to stay back, she immediately senses something is wrong. She stops and quickly hides behind a tree, watching from a distance. Will is tied to a tree with a gun pointed at him. Arthur and Casey threaten him, but Will remains silent, refusing to give them any information. Realizing Eva is nearby, Arthur and Casey split up, searching the forest to find her. Eva sees Arthur and Casey searching for her and immediately starts running. Arthur spots her and chases after her, but she quickly hides behind a large rock. While Arthur searches the area, Eva suddenly faints. Thinking Eva will eventually return for Will, Arthur and Casey set up a small fire and take turns keeping watch. Arthur stays awake first while Casey sleeps, then they switch. After some time, Eva regains consciousness and quietly approaches them from a distance. Casey notices her, but doesn't react. He simply stares in shock. Eva calmly walks up to him, gently placing her hand on his face. Tears well up in Casey's eyes as he gazes at her in disbelief. Then out of nowhere, Eva slaps him hard, knocking him unconscious. She quickly frees Will, and the two run away. Before leaving, Will shoots Arthur, killing him. Eva's health rapidly declines. Weak and struggling, they slowly make their way forward. Finally, they reach the waterfall, the place Eva had dreamed of seeing. Knowing Eva has been infected for 5 days and could die at any moment, they sit together, cherishing their last moments. They embrace, sharing their deepest love and the happiness of being together, even in the end. As the final memory, Will takes a picture of them with Eva's camera. This might just be a movie, but what if this happened in real life? How would you protect your loved one in such a situation? Share your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next exciting story. Until then, take care and thanks for watching.